In the not-too-distant present, a challenge unlike any other begins. 3 men, 1 year, 0 game purchases. They stand against temptation, towering backlogs, and the endless lure of digital sales. This is the Year of Shame Challenge. A test of willpower, a battle against impulse, a journey into the heart of unplayed games, where only discipline survives.
Hello and welcome to the Year of Shame podcast, the podcast where 3 poor members of the Midlife gamer community vow to spend a whole year in an abyss of playing and purchasing no new games. We're on episode 5 now of season 14 and I'm just sneaking this recording into the last day of May. With me on the show are Brian. Hello, Brian.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you, mate. And Stuart. Hi, Stuart.
Hey, how's it going, Richard?
Yeah, lovely, thank you. Let's hear about how you guys have been doing and what you've been up to in May. So, Stuart, why don't you kick us off? How have you been?
Yeah, I've been good. We had Eddie or Susie Izzard came into town at the beginning of the month, so we went to go and watch them, and that was a really good show. They were doing like a summary tour of all the best stuff. Unfortunately, there was a couple of people in the crowd that went a bit too hard before the show and got very, very drunk and felt that it was appropriate to shout out the bit that was being done at the start of the bit. And that was a wee bit annoying. But
yeah,
you can ignore them and just carry on going. And Susie Izzard was just ripping them a new one every time they did it. It's like, come on, I'm trying to do a job here. Come on, just sit back and let me do this. So that was a good night. I started building some lighting panels that I think I might have mentioned in the last episode, and got that all built and all programmed. And it was using these MagSafe connectors between the various panels. And the panels were all developed to be like it was 3 7 sort of interconnected, and it looked great. And then I started connecting multiples together and realized it looked very swastika-ish. So had to throw them in the bin. They were
oh no.
There was no way they were going on the wall. And so that was a bit of a waste of an effort of, a couple of hours worth of effort building those. And the only other thing I've managed to do this month was I built I acquired a keyboard for an Atari XE gaming system that I have, which was one of the last 8-bit computers that Atari created in 1987. And when you plug the keyboard in, it effectively converts it from being a games console into an Atari 65 XE. So you've got a little basic interpreter that gets fired up, and you can write your own programs, and it's got built-in memory and all the rest of it. So it becomes a little home computer. So that arrived, that got a really good clean, and made sure it was all in working order. And then I picked up a Uno cart as well, which is like a multi-cart for the Atari XE. And I've transferred over the 4 games that I own on cartridge. There was only 32 games released in total for it, so in the new year I might look at whether I can pick up the remaining 27 and just expand that collection out to be a full collection. And that's been my month. What about you guys?
You could have the full collection for an entire ecosystem, basically on a USB stick.
Yep, on a little SD card.
Oh, wow.
Very incredible. Cool. What hardware would you need to do that with a PlayStation now? Like how many tera?
But that's the thing, the storage capacity has increased so dramatically since 1987 that things that were restrictive back then are now insignificant. Those cartridges would have had 128 bits or kilobits in them, which was considered massive at the time. And now, you convert it over to the SD card, and it doesn't even make a blip in the amount of storage that the SD card's taking up,
Yeah. Less than the README file that comes with it, kind of thing.
Yeah. I think there's a fact that the size of the icons on your Apple phone, which are rendered for 4K eventually, are larger than the entire memory capacity of the first Apple desktop that was ever released.
Wow.
So
that's
that generational change just means that storage is. So yes, what I'm trying to get to is in the future, you might be able to transfer all your Blu-rays over to your gas-based storage system that comes with the PlayStation 12.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Incredible. Good. And Brian, how has your May been?
Hey, let me see. So we've had a podcast, the start of May, wasn't it? Shortly after we had Golden Week, which is a huge thing here. You have, let me see, it's a Monday and Tuesday are bank holidays. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So you've got 3 bank holidays in a row. So you have Thursday, Friday beforehand, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off. So you basically have 5 days off. And if you choose to take the Thursday and Friday off, you end up with a week and a half off. And that's what a lot of people here do. So everybody travels, everybody goes all over the place. The internal tourism is massive in Japan. It's extraordinary how big it is. So on the Wednesday before, let me see. We did nothing. We did before. We went away during Golden Week, and we just got stuck on motorways. We sat for 4 hours on the motorway in baking heat, and it just wasn't anything. So we basically did nothing. We went to local cafes, enjoyed 5 days off, and it was bliss. It was really nice just to relax, and I didn't have to stress about anything. So I liked it a lot. What else? Japan here seems to think it's the only country that has 4 seasons. There is this Japanese exceptionalism thing, but they think they've only got 4 seasons. But in reality, we all have 4 seasons, but here they tend to be a bit more dramatic. But spring here, as I said to you earlier, is coming to an end. We're getting into the high 20s, low 30s. We have rainy season starting next week. There's this wind that comes in. We live in Kanto. It's a region just including Tokyo, just slightly north, and the ground is really dry. So we get this massive wind that comes in off China, and it builds, and it just picks up all the soil, and you get this. I don't know how to describe it. It's just like you get cloud sand going across the roads, or as you're driving along, it's going across. So if you've got your windows open in your house, it's just covering everything in the house. But because it's so warm, everybody has the houses open. So at the moment, everybody's cleaning. They've got your windows open to get the cool air in. And then you can hear in the mornings, people have got their futon out and they're smacking the futon to try and get the dust out of the whole thing. So the house is clean for the day. And then the same thing happens again the next day. So it's quite a bizarre time to be here. We did during that 4 to 5 day weekend, we did our emergency stuff changeover. I mentioned we were going to do it last time. We found some stuff that was short dated, so we spent a week and a half eating short dated calorie mate, which is this. It looks like shortbread. It's supposed to be all your minerals and vitamins in like a little finger of shortbread. It doesn't taste anywhere near as good as shortbread. We had one of these every day for that 2 weeks, trying to get through our supply of them. And we had this crap rice thing that it comes in a pouch. You can add water into it, and it just heats up, and it's self-cooking. And you would have to be really stuck to eat this stuff. But I'm guessing that's what this emergency food is for. And after that, in work, we had sports day. So the sports day in schools here is really big. I'm in junior high, so it's about 12 to 15-year-olds, and they're really, really keen. It went from 9 o'clock in the morning till 3:30. It was 27, 28 degrees that day. The sky was blue and it was blazing sun. And it's the sports. There's no individual sports. It's all team. So we had 4 teams. They're based on colors. So there's like red, green, yellow, and blue. And they have So you've got team relays. You have over the whole years, then they have the best for the whole school. So then they have one. I've written it down. Odama Okuri. They get this massive ball, and they have to throw it, pass it all the way down like a line of the team. You start at one end, it's going to pass down the other end. It's going to go around the little slalom thing, come back and go back along it. And the speed at which these guys are doing it is so fast. It's very cool to watch. But the ball is just literally flying. So they're all standing and just grabbing this ball and chucking it on and passing it along a big long line. It's really cool to watch.
It sounds like human 10-pin bowling.
Yeah, a bit like. There's another one called they have a
Or something from It's a Knockout.
Yes, actually very similar to that. There's another one called Mukade Kyoso. Mukade is basically a Japanese centipede. It's the real Japanese centipede is about 30 centimeters long or a bit longer. It's got a really nasty bite and is particularly vicious. It gets angry very fast, and if you stamp on it, it releases a pheromone that attracts other ones. So you don't want to damage them. You just want them out of your house if you ever see them. But they do a race that's sort of similar. Do you ever watch old American movies with people on chain gangs? It's a bit like that. All the kids' legs, or all the left legs are all tied together. There's 10 of these kids in a row. Left legs are all one behind each other. Left legs are all tied, right legs are all tied, and they have to race around this track. And it's hilarious. Just watching them, and then one of them trips, they all just pile up on top of each other. And it's, I shouldn't be laughing so much, but it was absolutely hilarious watching them. But it was really good. I mentioned the someone's really strong. I was told beforehand, you best wear a t-shirt and shorts, because I'll wear a suit or trousers and shirt the whole time. I turned up in my t-shirt and shorts, and the kids were just staring at me. You're white. You're so white. My skin, being a proper Celt, has rarely seen the sun at all, and the kids were totally shocked. So I spent most of the morning going around telling them why my skin was so white, and then in the afternoon I was going around telling them why my skin was so pink, because it just turned pink. And later on, like when I was eating, I just looked like Kirby because I was totally pink, which 2 weeks later became a bit of an issue which is middle of last week, I started to itch all over, and I've got a photo something eczema. Basically, because of sunburn, I've now got eczema all over my arms and my legs, and it's been driving me up the wall on Thursday and Friday. Thursday, Friday.
It's not comfortable. Yeah.
No, I was in work and I was basically clawing the arm off myself. My arms are raw. So yesterday, I went to the dermatologist. So basically, make an appointment in the morning, go to see a dermatologist, and she gave me antihistamines and steroid creams. So I've lathered them all over myself. It's dying down now, thankfully. But the health system here is really good. To see a dermatologist cost me 600 yen, which is about £4. And I make an appointment on the day, and the meds cost me 1,200 yen, which is about £7-8 maybe at most. It's probably even less. I, all told, got it all sorted in one day. It was really good and really cheap. So, but a nightmare anyway. So tomorrow I've got to go to school. I've still got some of the rash left. I'll be talking to the kids about dangers of the sun, teaching that in English, which will be fun. But yeah, I'm trying. The only other thing is I went to see a dentist over here, and my Japanese isn't good enough to deal with a dentist, so my wife had to come in and sit in the room for some of it. And while they were cleaning, the hygienist there cleaning my teeth, and she kept saying to me, "Kawaii." And I was like, "Why is she asking me, are you cute?" And I was like, "No." And then she kept going kawaii, and I was like, "No." And my wife was started laughing. She's not asking you if you're cute. She's saying, cute is kawaii. The lady was saying kawaii, which means afraid. And she asked me if I was afraid. And I said, "I'm afraid? Yes, I'm afraid. I hate dentists." But I had teeth cleaned, and I had 3 of my old fillings redone. because they said there was going to be damage there. I don't trust dentists, so I'm not sure if there was going to be damage there or not, but I had them all done. And that's cost about 7,000 yen, so which is about 60 quid, 50 quid probably, to get 3 fillings. So the health system was quite good, but that was about it. I'm trying to think of anything else. No, that was it. Yeah, that's all I've been doing.
Just reminded me, I've got to go and see a dentist this week as well. So I don't think mine will be 70 quid though.
No, that's bargain prices. Amazing.
Yeah.
It is, yeah, it's quite cheap. But we pay 30% of the cost price, and the government then cover the other 2/3 for the doctors and the dentists. But it is, even if you work it out, it's still extremely cheap compared to back home. And remember, the UK was really expensive, and in Ireland it's €100 per filling, I think, at the moment, at least that. So that's, I don't know, crazy. But that was quite good. And that's been basically, I haven't been doing much. I'll mention later on what else I've been doing at the weekends. That will come in later on in the question section. So that's it. That's all I've been doing. How about you, Rich? What have you been to?
Yeah, well, I got antihistamine updates as well. So I've had hay fever since I sat down to do exams when I was a teenager. It decided that was the appropriate point to manifest. Yeah. And every year, what I found, like one of the years I learned that if I kind of pre-med on antihistamines from about March onwards, that I could just get through hay fever season unscathed. But every year I forget. And so it always gets towards the end of May and I'm kind of like, oh yeah, brilliant. Even though I haven't been taking any antihistamines, I've got away with it. And then I think it was Thursday this week, it kind of came back to bite me and it's like, oh no. And then I remember every year it's like, I get hay fever a bit later than most people kind of thing. Whatever pollen it is comes out around about that time. So I've been sneezing away and I've got a little tissue with Olbus oil on it that I'm inhaling through this recording. So that's annoying, but that's all part of the UK having an incredible kind of heat wave over the last week or so. So temperatures have been tipping kind of 33, 34 degrees. We've had the highest May day on record twice last week, so it kind of broke its own record on Monday and then again on Tuesday. And I actually like the heat, apart from in a brand new house that I've moved into, which has got full of deep carpets, and my bedroom being a loft conversion with Velux windows, so it's basically like a rooftop greenhouse. So it was pretty unpleasant for a couple of days, and now whenever I browse the internet, all the kind of clever adverts that know what I've been looking at are all touting air conditioning, because I think I spent the Monday night, the record-breaking night, just lying in bed searching for air conditioning solutions. So we'll see how that all progresses. The house I've moved into is taking nice shape. I took delivery of a beautiful table about a week or so ago. So rather than the four of us huddled round a tiny table where there's just enough room for plates and not enough room for the ketchup on the same table, I've now got this great big kind of hunk of wood that we can fit probably 8 people comfortably round now.
Oh,
so
nice.
It's not about the eating really. It's about board games for me. So it now means we've got this social space where we can actually get a board game out and enjoy that. So it's kind of manifested itself into this weird place. So I've noticed when we're trying to fix up these recordings that I'm the problem child. So every month I'm now sending a message saying, oh, I'm really sorry, but I'm not going to be able to do this day, this day, this day. And just to reassure you chaps, that's not normal. I'm normally like the person who values having absolutely nothing on as many weekends as possible. But I think the combination of new house and like people coming around to see it, and actually there being space to entertain folks has meant that those sorts of things are appearing more. So I had my brother and sister-in-law over on Friday night. They stayed over. And it was really nice because we've got enough room, even though there's kids flying around and stuff, there's enough space for us all to kind of enjoy stuff and play some games and that kind of stuff. So really, really, really nice. And then, so with this new table, that's essentially kind of marked one of the rooms as a kind of escape room for grown-ups when the kids are taking over the lounge and doing Xbox and stuff. So I have treated myself to a new bit of tech. I bought like a giant tablet, which can now sit on a really nice little stand on this table. So when the grown-ups are relegated to a different room, we can still take in some good telly, but without there being a telly in that room, so we can kind of feel like we're proper people that don't require telly all the time, but still have telly all the time, but
Very
just be
good.
able to hide it. So that's good. And then other highlights of the month. There's two highlights. One is a football related highlight. I generally don't talk about football when I'm in my kind of gaming, streaming, podcasting thing because it's quite divisive, but it has been a real highlight. So I'm lucky enough at the moment to support Aston Villa. And during May, they were progressing really well in the Europa League. And I managed to get tickets to their quarter-final game at home and their semi-final game at home. So I've had a couple of great trips up to Birmingham, meeting up with kind of family and friends and watching just some absolutely incredible games of football with like atmospheres that I've never seen before. So that was good. And they went on to win the whole tournament last week. So I've been kind of quite giddy and quite a lot of bubbly liquid has been drunk in the lead up to and after that. And then last weekend I was at a wedding, which is incredible. So like when we get to our kind of age, they seem to become less and less frequent unless you're getting people going again second time round kind of thing. But one of my friends who's been with his partner, he's got 3 kids with his partner. They've been together for like forever, but something has flipped a switch in him and he decided to actually ask her to marry him. So had a lovely weekend in the middle of nowhere, somewhere near Salisbury last weekend. And it was during this kind of glorious hot weather snap. And I managed to bump into a bunch of people who I'd done some of my traveling charity road trip things with. So some people I haven't seen for a good few years, I managed to see at that wedding. So it's great to catch up.
Oh, very cool.
And really, really nice. So I've had quite a varied May, bit of house stuff, wedding, entertaining things, bit of football. Even my cat's got more brave, so the cat's venturing outside now. And I can tell that because at about 10:30 every night, I'll hear this terrible shrieking from the garden. And that is my cat absolutely not making friends with the neighbours. She's the most unbrave, cowardly cat ever, but she does have a voice on her. So if anything else comes near her, she lets the sirens off. So it's been good. It's been a really, really, really good May.
Ooh.
How about, so telly, movies, books and stuff? Brian, have you been taking in any of those non-game medias?
Let me see. I have a bit. Let me see. I don't think I watched any movies. But I finished season 1 of Dan the Dan, which I mentioned before. It's I like it. The opening theme tune to it is called Dan the Dan, obviously, but amazingly enough, by a band called Creepy Nuts. The song is brilliant. I love the song. So they did another song, Bing Blang Bing Bing. I don't know. I can't remember the name of it, but it's really good as well. Just look up Creepy Nuts. Yes, that is the name. This anime basically, according to IMDb, when Momo and Okuran beliefs clash, they're thrown into a world of ghosts, aliens, and awakened powers. Basically, Okuran believes in aliens, Momo believes in spirits, and turns out they're both right, and they're both after what's between their legs. So it's really, really weird, but it's quite funny. I've actually laughed out loud watching it, and it's really, really fast paced. I then went for something a bit more normal. I watched Small Profits. Did you mention this last time, Stuart? I think somebody mentioned it today. I don't know.
Small Profits? No, I don't think that was one of mine. No.
Somebody mentioned it because I picked it up and started watching. I started watching it and I thought it's not that great. I didn't know the characters. I didn't really like them. I didn't care for them at all. I started episode 2 and thought, at least it's a flashback episode. And then went on episode 3 and thought, I've seen this already. So I started on episode 3, went back to episode 2. And then had to go back and actually watch the very first episode, which introduced the characters nicely and you sort of got to like them. Mackenzie Crook is the guy who created it. He's the guy who did Detectorists. That's it. Along that type of line, it's a gentle comedy. It is good. It's just nowhere near as good as Detectorists, unfortunately. But Mackenzie Crook himself has a really good character. He plays, I don't know if I thought he looked like security, but he's probably the manager in a hardware store. Like a big, what the hardware stores in the UK, the DIY shops. Like really big
Homebase, B&Q.
Homebase, exactly. That's the one I'm thinking of. It's like one of the managers and one of them. He keeps going around to people, have you had your break yet? And stuff. He has really long hair, long ponytail, and he's reaching around his back and he's stroking his ponytail because he loves it. His character is really good, but the rest of it, it's sweet. I thought it ended quite nice at the end, and then it says, and this is what's going to happen in season 2. There's going to be a season 2. I didn't think it needed it, but apparently it's going to be a season 2. The kids in school have given me 4 anime to watch, so I've started watching some of them. I'm not going to really talk about much of them, but it's Attack on Titan, My Hero Academia, Hunter x Hunter, and Dr. Stone. They're all sort of okay. There's nothing. They're very big anime here with the kids and teens that just, I don't know, they're okay. They're not great. I also watched the one and only season of Scavenger's Reign, which is a cartoon. I think it's American, but it's basically the crew of a damaged deep space freighter evacuating or stranded on a. It's a IMDb said a beautiful. I don't know if we can call it beautiful, but it's a really strange and dangerous planet. It's extremely disturbing. It is a really great representation of what a world with an alien ecosystem is like. It's very weird, very disgusting. The story is quite good. There's 12 episodes in the entire thing. It's got really high ratings. I thought it was okay, to be honest. But it's okay. I just finished that today. I was glad to have it knocked off my backlog. I've been listening to a few podcasts. Don't know if you know Antonio, or also known as GH Rocker. He got me into listening to movie podcasts a while back, and he used to do one called Gabbing About. Adamski, after I've been listening to that for a while, Adamski mentioned one called What Went Wrong, which is a really good podcast about movies and what went wrong during their production. So I've gone through a load of those recently. Braveheart, Aliens, and Nightmare on Elm Street. A Nightmare on Elm Street is the reason that we had Lord of the Rings. There's a Nightmare on Elm Street saved New Line cinema. And without that, we would never have had Lord of the Rings, because Lord of the Rings couldn't get a producer, so we couldn't get money or funding behind it. And that was the only company that would actually fund them. There's also Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, a movie I love a lot. And then they did a special on the life and death of River Phoenix. And the episodes were all really good. They're about an hour and a half to 2 hours long, but they're really good. Let me see. Last 2 things. Reading. I've been reading Brains, How to Survive an Apocalyptic Bibliophilia by Eric Pachowski, which is Duke from the Veteran Gamers. It's a good read. Has a lot of his personal view on society than his previous works, Delivery to Nimbus X. But the story is quite good. Some really good reveals and twists in it. I would recommend it to everybody. It's a good read. I enjoyed it. The story is quite cool. The character development is really good as well. And I was really shocked at some of it. So go read it. Go read both those books. Delivery to Nimbus X is a very good read as well. And then finally, I started reading manga on my phone, because I haven't got a tablet or anything yet. But I'm starting to read Heavenly Delusion, or Tengoku Daimakyo, which I've watched the animated. They only made one season. It's really good, but they haven't completed the story. The anime is still, but the manga is still being made. So I started reading that in English, and it's quite good so far. But yeah, that's all I've been doing. Stu, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. So, I've been watching The Boys for a couple of months now, and that finally came to the end of season 5, which is the end of the series, and it was a good ending. I mean, there was the same over the top violence and gore as all the previous episodes. The storyline is intended to be absurd, and yet at the same time, it manages to mirror what we see in the news from the US nowadays, and that's even more concerning because of just how absurd the story is, you know. But it was a good ending to the series. A very enjoyable watch. Jetlag the game on YouTube. They were racing around every station in Taiwan. 2 teams trying to own as many of the stations as they can by putting coins down as they go through them and completing tasks. It was okay. It was just more of the same of what they seem to do. You know, they know what they do well, so they stick to that. And it was an enjoyable watch. I mentioned last month that I've been watching Resident Alien, and I think at that point I'd only watched about 10 episodes of season 1. Only season 1 and season 2 are available on Australian Netflix. I believe there is a season 3 that's coming soon, and there's season 4 is being broadcast right now in the US. It's okay. There's a bit of overacting every now and then, and some episodes are much better than others. But in general, it's okay. It's like a mix of. I don't know if you ever watched Northern Exposure way back in the 80s and the 90s about the doctor that goes to Alaska. It's a bit. You get a bit of that vibe. It's like that combined with Galaxy Quest and The Good Place. You know, all merged together. All the same sort of feels as you had from those. So if season 3 comes out, I'll be watching that. But for the time being, that season is now at an end until we find a way of getting season 3 to us. And then I started watching a couple of movies. So the first movie I watched was Nobody 2 on Netflix. If you watch Nobody 1, it's about this guy, Hutch Mansell, who ends up being an assassin who loses his mind effectively. Season 2, Nobody 2 is more of the same. He decides he's going to take his family on vacation to this little town called Plummerville that his dad took him to when he was much younger. And he finds himself in the crosshairs of the corrupt theme park operator and the shady sheriff and the bloodthirsty crime boss played by Sharon Stone. It's an extremely silly movie. It ends up being sort of 1 part Home Alone and 2 parts Die Hard. It was just, very silly. But again, turn your brain off, enjoy it if you like ultra-violent family movies, you know?
That's the guy who played Saul, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, from Better Call Saul and from Breaking Bad.
Better Call Saul, yeah. Quite good.
I then watched a movie called Mute, which is Alexander Skarsgård from Murderbot and Paul Rudd from Ant-Man. It's a story about a mute Amish guy living in a cyberpunk version of Germany in 2035. The story's a bit mental and nonsensical. Paul Rudd has got the most 70s porn star handlebar mustache you've ever seen an actor have in a movie. It's a little bit similar to Blade Runner because it is, it's the cyberpunk genre. There's loads of flying cars and fluoro lighting and guns and cybernetic implants. The story, it's about, rather than them chasing down the replicates like they did in Blade Runner, they're now trying to chase down American military personnel that are going AWOL in Germany because they're pushing back against what they're being asked to do. And this mute guy is trying to search for his missing girlfriend, and that's the entire scope of what this story is trying to do. So not at all complicated to understand, but a good movie. Just again, a bit mental and nonsensical, but still good. And then I was flicking through the channels on television one night, maybe 3 or 4 nights ago, and Escape from LA was on. And these movies are, again, just so bad that they're so good. I mean, this is obviously the reason why Far Cry Blood Dragon existed, because everything in this movie is what you're doing in that game. Snake Plissken is played by Kurt Russell, and it's I think he's trying to rescue the world from a baddie who's got an EMP device, but none of that matters, Any movie that has a fold-up helicopter that they all escape from the city in, and a surfing sequence where they try to outrun a tsunami. It's like, okay, cool. We're not expected to believe any of this stuff. And then the last thing I've watched this month is Spider Noir, which is new to Amazon Prime. And it's got Nicolas Cage playing Spider-Man, which on the face of it sounds like the worst decision you've ever heard. He's also the director. But he plays Spider-Man in an alternate sort of black and white detective noir style world. And it's got Brendan Gleeson as the baddie in it. And he's one of my favourite actors, from In Bruges and Banshees of Inisherin. There's not really a focus on Nicolas Cage being Spider-Man. It's sort of every so often he puts on his spider outfit, but it's more the storyline, and it gives real first season of Daredevil vibes, just in terms of how they have the interpersonal relationships and the story development. There's a lot of old classic Spider-Man villains making appearances. So that's quite good. But I'm only 3.5 episodes into the first season. I think there's about 8 episodes in there. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. And then reading-wise, I'm still getting through Wheel of Time. I'm about 15% of the way through book 9, according to my Kindle. And the only other thing that has been, is it taking up my time or not taking up my time? I'm not sure what it is on the health front, I've cut my daily intake of Pepsi Max down from about 5 cans a day to 1. And that one that you guys just saw me drinking on camera is the one for the day.
Oh, wow. Don't spill it on yourself.
I'm feeling much better for it, I got to say. Yeah, it's a difficult thing to give up, though. The first couple of days, you're getting splitting headaches and real withdrawal.
Really?
But
Incredible.
Now it's all good, yeah. And then my wife is going through a process of changing employers at the moment. And so when she leaves her old company, joins the new company, obviously all of her leave gets reset back to 0 for the year. So she's structured her new employment terms so that she starts in the middle of July. And that means that she's got a gap of, about a month and a half.
Sounds nice.
So we've decided that in that month and a half, we will take a month and go touring through Czech Republic, Poland, Austria. Do a bit of a boat tour that goes from, I don't even know where it goes from now. It's sort of just south of Austria. I think it starts in Hungary, and goes all the way up to Amsterdam, and then we fly back from Amsterdam 25 days after we start. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm jealous.
It's all still being planned right now, though, so nothing's quite nailed down. I think we've got the boat tour sorted out, but the first bit, which is like 14 days of touring around through Poland, through Germany, and through the Czech Republic, hasn't quite been nailed down yet. So we'll hopefully sort that out tomorrow, and then we can start looking at flight details and all the rest to get that sorted out.
That's amazing.
So
A boat tour in inland Europe. I'm testing my river knowledge. Is the Danube involved?
I think it'll be the Danube. Yeah, it'll be the Danube or the Rhine or one of those. I mean, we go through the Rhine Gorge, so I'm assuming the Rhine's involved somewhere. Yeah. So you basically get on in Budapest, and then you don't have to worry about any of the travel from that point onwards. You wake up in a different place every morning, go and do a whole bunch of tours around that place, get back on at night, have your dinner, and go off while you're asleep to the next place. And then when you get to Amsterdam, they take you to the airport and they say goodbye, and you get on the plane and you come home. And that's it. There's no need for Ubers. There's nothing.
That's good. Really good.
That's the theory. We'll have to wait and see if that holds up. Yeah, so that'll be quite exciting. So last night was me on our company Slack and messaging my boss saying, "Hey, all that leave that I've got due, would you mind if I took it in 2 weeks' time? Are there any projects that are really, really dependent on me being here at the beginning of July?" So I think we're working our way around that. And if it's like every other holiday we do, I'll certainly take my laptop with me just to make sure that I can keep on top of things if I need to. But the plan is to disconnect for a month, which I don't think I've ever done.
Oh, wow. Nice.
They'll be really good, though.
Yeah, except if I'm away for a month and it's 6 weeks from now before I get back, it might mean the next episode is a two-person episode.
Yeah. Yep. That's okay. Permission granted.
You can get internet on the boat.
We'll keep our fingers crossed and hope we do. I don't quite know yet what's going to be provided. I'm sure we'll find out as the days go on over the next week.
Yeah, no problem.
And I'll certainly keep you guys in the loop.
Yeah, I'm jealous. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, hopefully.
That's You mentioned the Spider-Man Noir or Spider Noir, is it? Is it live action or is it?
Yeah, it's live
animated?
action. Well, they do a weird thing. It's live action, but you can choose to watch it in one of two ways. You can watch it in black and white, or you can watch it in what they call true hue color, which doesn't look like it's been filmed in color. It looks like somebody's actually overcolored various aspects of it.
Okay.
So it's an interesting way of presenting it. I think the intent is, with it being a noir thing, that you're supposed to watch it in black and white. I found that a little difficult. So I tend to switch between the two every so often just to see what it looks like when it is in black and white versus this color-toned thing.
I Googled Spider-Man Noir. If anybody gets a chance, do it, because there's a Google animation. It looks quite cool.
Yeah.
If you get your phone, it rains down the screen. That's really weird. But yeah. That's the first time I ever heard of that character was the Into the Spider-Verse movies.
Yep.
I didn't know he even existed beforehand. Did all those characters, all the other Spider-Man, did they exist before this? Before that movie?
So
or I thought
even
they were
the Little
created
Pig one has got his own graphic novel series. So yeah, they're all alternate reality Spider-Man.
Oh, wow. There you go. You learned something new. Very good.
Great stuff. Well, we wish you luck with that trip, and we'll talk offline about whether you're going to send in a little sound clip for us to pop into the next episode. I can't even imagine the level of faff it would take if we tried to get you hooked in from a boat on the Danube. So let's not even try that.
Yeah.
I'll go through my stuff, my other stuff, non-video game stuff for May. So telly-wise, I'm still going with Parks and Recreation, so the comedy I've talked about every episode. So season 5 ticked off. I think there's only 1 or maybe 2 seasons left for my full rewatch of that. Still loving it. Absolutely brilliant. I've been watching a thing on the BBC called Race Across the World. I think there's other variants globally as well. And it's a really good one, season 6, a really good one this time. So they were traveling. So basically the premise is there's, I think, 5 pairs of people, and they quite often pitch them where, so that this season there were a couple of like young lads from Liverpool who are mates. There was a father and daughter from Northern Ireland, a couple of sisters, that kind of thing. And they've always got some kind of family, whether it's a family trauma or just a family disconnect that they might be repairing. There's always a little bit of a backstory as to, you know, why the traveling is good for them. And they were going from, I can't remember where they started, I think somewhere in Spain, all the way to Mongolia was their end task. And they're generally, well, they're not allowed to get flights. So they're given the budget that a flight would cost to get them from A to B. And then are given that in cash, have their phones taken away from them, and then are just let off loose. So they have to kind of budget their way across using land, well, generally land-based transport. There are a few boats involved. And then they can work. I mean, it's all, I'm sure it's all a bit contrived. There's work opportunities on the way, but obviously if they take the work opportunity, then they spend time stuck in one place while they earn a pittance to add to their budget. So it's a really interesting race where they're all trying to get to the other end as fast as possible, and just constantly going through the decision making of, you know, should we go this way or should we go that way? Should we stop or should we carry on? And I found it really good because I did my road trip where I drove from London to Mongolia. So they were basically tracing quite a lot of a similar route to the one that I took. And so, you know, they were choosing their directions and, you know, shall we go through Kyrgyzstan or shall we head north through Kazakhstan? And I'm kind of like, north. So I found that really, really good to watch. A really, really good series, that one. And then coincidentally with work, we have, like, every quarter of the year, we have a bit of a get together for our tech team where it can vary from anything between a really dry day of talks, but sometimes we do an activity as well. And it turned out that we did a race across the world Bristol version, which was quite a nicely put together kind of local treasure hunt, really, where you get into teams and you'd have to go to a cafe and pick up an envelope, and it would give you a clue as to where your next destination is, and you'd solve puzzles. But it was quite good. They'd done it. It wasn't just here's a clue and go and look at some road signs or, you know, things on the side of buildings. There was a little bit of interactivity built into it. So quite often you'd have to go into, and this kind of replicates the TV show, you'd have to go into places and ask things, and then they'd give you, so we, at one point we were given these little not walkie-talkies, little sound recorder things, and then there were various phrases in various languages, and we had to do a bit of cross-referencing and work out, you know, what the clue was and which words are important. So that was good fun. And then series-wise, I've started watching, I'm trying to think which service it's on. I think it might be an Amazon Prime. It's called From.
Oh yes.
And I'm only into season 1, and I won't give spoilers, but what I say is basically from episode 1. So the premise of it is there's this village in the middle of America where everyone appears to be stuck. So this is I think it's from the same people who wrote and made Lost, which is one of those series that I loved at the beginning, and by the time they got to the end, I absolutely detested it and everything they've done. So I was a bit wary going into it, but the premise again is very strong. So it's this village, there's a bunch of people there, and it seems to be that if new people arrive, they become engulfed and stuck in this village. So it's like you can't get out. So the opening sequence is of this family who are traveling into the village and are trying to navigate their way through and out. And no matter which road they go on, they end up looping back around and re-entering the village and having this deja vu moment of like, hang on a minute, how are we here? We've literally tried all the routes out. And then there's a weird kind of monster thing. So that the danger bit is that at night monsters can get you, but you're safe so long as you're inside your house and hanging a strange little stone amulet thing by the doorway. So I've just gone through the first few episodes of that. Obviously some mistakes are made, and there is some horrificness. And I'm just intrigued, as I was with Lost, as to whether this thing's going to work itself out or not. And hopefully they land the ending rather than just going off on a massive tangent and not knowing what to do with it. So that's my telly. Movies-wise, I'm a disgrace with movies. You guys keep talking about movies that I think I would like to see. But the only thing I've seen this month is called The Sheep Detectives. So I was left in charge of my children one weekend, a few weekends ago, and obviously staring down the barrel of having to do good parenting, I immediately booked the reclining seats at the local cinema and chose an appropriate movie. So The Sheep Detectives was it. This stars Hugh Jackman. It's got voices from Emma Thompson, Chris O'Dowd, Patrick Stewart, and many others. So it's got a quality cast. And the premise of it, there's a flock of sheep who are actually strangely more intelligent than you would imagine, and they can talk to each other and all of this kind of stuff. And they're trying to solve the murder of their shepherd. So there's not much more to say. It was quite nicely done. It was a bit of a murder mystery, but a sheep-based one at that. And that's it for movies. I seem to not find the time in between everything else for movies. Things I have found time for are reading. So I think last time I was bemoaning how much I struggled with Wolf Hall, and I think I was celebrating the start of a Korean book that I'd made called 1,000 Blues. That's written by, and I'm going to absolutely marmalize this name, but Chon Seon-ran. Really good sci-fi book that I just munched through. It was really focusing just on a family. One of the members of the family was disabled, and like family relationships, but a nice little bit of robot tech thrown in there just for interest. So I munched through that really quickly at the start of the month. Moved on to another book called Stoner, written by John Williams, who I've never heard of. And obviously I thought it was going to be kind of weed-based, judging by the name, but it was not. It was just a very innocent story about a university student and then lecturer in the States. And he had, and this was all set kind of like around about between First and Second World War time. And just a meandering story about this guy, how he goes through his education, how he's quite introverted, how he gets married, and how his marriage is just a total disaster. And nothing really happens, but it kind of traces his life as he grows old from being a student through to being like a retirement age lecturer. It sounds incredibly boring, but it's not. It's a really good book if you'd like just getting into some really strong characters and just enjoying seeing what unfolds. The text on the front of the book, the little quote, it just says, "The best book you've never read." But I can't say that now because I've read it. But it was a good book. I won't say it's the best book I've ever read, but it was a really good read.
Good.
And from that, I went on to a book called The Wizard of the Kremlin, which is one of these kind of, you're not totally sure whether it's a novel or whether it's reality. It's written by Giuliano da Empoli, who I think has a background as a political advisor, so has sort of inside knowledge of how these things work, but it's written as if he is an advisor to Vladimir Putin. And it's written in a super convincing way. It's really good kind of insight into the whole vibe of how Russian leadership has unfolded in the last kind of 20 or 30 years. And just a really compelling read. Obviously steps through some of the events and comes as modern as the whole Ukraine situation, or whatever you want to call it. And then I won't spoil the end, but it gives quite a chilling viewpoint forwards about how war will be waged and the kind of mindset that goes behind it. So I was really enjoying this book, and then the last 10 pages closes with this kind of absolutely chilling kind of mortality statement where you're just like, oh my God. So I'm going to read something. I've finished that as well. And now I'm looking for something a little bit lighter that I can escape into and feel like I'm going to live past the next 5 years. So there's that. And then, as I mentioned, with the coming of the table, board games are back on. So I think I've mentioned it before. Flip 7, look it up if you're ever in a group of 4 people or more and have 15 minutes to have a great time, then play Flip 7. I've been playing a game called Deep Space D6, which is a great dice chucking game. You've got a spaceship, you roll a set of dice. Depending on what they land on, there's different symbols, and they basically can like activate different things on your spaceship. So whether it's like recharging your shields, repairing your hull, firing different varieties of lasers, or this kind of thing. And all the while, as you're drawing cards that represent alien threats that might damage you, they might damage you but get through your shields. They might create these other problems like capturing crew members, aka your dice, and thus making life more and more difficult. So I've played a few rounds of that on the table, and that's really good. And it's made, I don't know the name of the guy who made it, but he had a nightmare. It was a Kickstarter campaign, and he just like had like quite a big sort of meltdown during the making of it. Just found it all very difficult, and everyone was getting ratty with him and saying, when's it coming? But it's a great success of a game. And then in the spirit of more dice chucking, there's another game I've been playing with the kids as well. They're luckily now old enough to engage in more complex games. A game called Dice Throne, which I don't know whether you've heard, but it's essentially it's a dice and card battler. So it's 1v1, and you assume these characters. So they've expanded it, and you can get Marvel characters. So Doctor Strange is in there and characters like that. Or you can get fairly generic pyromancer versus a monk, which was the game that I played yesterday. And it's really cool. You've got a little tableau in front of you, a little panel in front of you with the skills, and it's kind of like almost like Yahtzee or whatever, that depending on the combination of dice you get, you can activate different attacks. But you've also got a deck of cards that you're building up where you can enhance your various skills or change them, and then kind of influence your own or the other person's dice. So if somebody's looking like they can do a super powerful attack, you can sometimes play cards that says you can just change what their dice has fallen on. So it's quite a fast and furious battler, and it's very thematic. It's really, really good. So I've had quite a good month of non-video games, and that of course brings us to the main course, video games. And I think from our chat before we started recording, we've got the full spectrum. No prizes for guessing who's played the most. So shall we build towards a Stuart crescendo of games? So Brian, why don't you kick us off? What you've been playing?
So I played 2 games this past month. Elden Ring, Eldenated now. According to Sony, I've put 580 hours into this game. According to the game itself, I've put over 750 hours into it.
Wow.
Bravo.
I platinumed this. Yay, it's platinum finished.
That impresses the hell out of me, Brian.
Yeah.
Platinuming that. Man, that's nice.
Well, wait. Do platinums properly, you have to play the game 3 times.
Yeah.
I did over 500 hours on 1 playthrough. I'm not doing the 3 playthroughs of that game. So I scum saved and got the 3 endings. The problem was I started originally on a PS4 and then moved to a PS5. The trophies I got on the PS4 don't move to PS5. So I had to restart the game, and I had to get another 9 trophies. I think it was 9 trophies. But the game is just amazing. There's not, should say there's not much to say about it. The majority of the game, I was filled with a sense of dread, tension, and excitement to try and explore. You just want to see what's over the next hill, and then you're worried about what's over the next hill. Is it going to kill you and wipe out all your souls or whatever you've collected? The world is so huge. There's such variety. At some points, the variety of the bosses tends to decrease. They start with being 1, you'll get 2 of the same, or you might get 2 two different ones together instead, because they've run out of new types of bosses, but it's not a lot often. And seeing the same boss again just helps build your confidence to keep going further, because you know how to deal with them and move on. But it is a great game. The final boss is, I don't know, it's, if you imagine what the Loch Ness Monster is supposed to look like, or was it Brontosaurus? They were big. It's this thing, it flies around. It's got a weird, it flies around, but it shoots you from far, and you don't have a horse. You can't get to it really fast. So you spend half the battle just chasing after this freaking thing, and it's shooting you from afar. And it's annoying, because that's what I did to the bosses throughout the rest of the game. I run the horse, moving around, leaving the boss there, and then shooting from afar. But yeah, the game was brilliant. It's sort of helped me realize that FromSoft and Souls games in general have sort of language that you have to buy into. You have to accept that when you come across a character you can't beat, it's not because you're good enough. It means the game is trying to tell you, go elsewhere first. Go elsewhere. You don't have to come this way. Go someplace else. And once you accept that and start moving, just travel on. You'll beef up and get stronger and come back to them later on. That's the way you play the game, and it's amazing.
That is good advice, Brian, isn't it? Because I bought, I don't know why I bought Elden Ring, because I can't do these games. But one of the very first battles that you end up in, I think you load into the first level, and there's a road down the middle, and there's a armored warhorse mega thing there. And I think the first thing I did was basically spawned into the game, walked and went, oh, isn't this pretty? Saw the big warhorse and went over to it with my stick or whatever you're armed with at the beginning.
Yes.
And just like lost to it about 15 times. And then I was like, okay, maybe this really isn't for me. So sage advice.
No, it is. And like, the game is so big, use a guide. Because initially you don't have a horse, and you won't get a horse until you actually do specific things. And playing this game without a horse, it's just a nightmare. It's like, for the first couple of hours, use a guide to at least get that far. But I've got to shout out, there's a website that gave me a guide of where to go next. Not exactly what was going to happen at those places, but go here, go here, go here. And it was, I'm not going to mention it, because apparently this website just pulls other people's details together and use it. I won't give them any, but I won't give them any air. But go looking for a guide and find one that just tells you where to go. That's all you need to know. And then there's two people on YouTube, Uggles. If you get stuck at a boss, he'll show you how to cheese bosses. He has a whole channel just devoted to cheesing bosses in Elden Ring. And then Fighting Cowboy. He did a whole thing on it, but you can chat with him. He's still answering messages under his videos showing what he did. I've talked to him several times on YouTube. He's really nice. He walked through the whole game step by step, telling people, if you got stuck here, go this way, go that. I'm using those and the guide telling me where to go. It opened the game up to me. It made it a joy to play. And it's, as I've mentioned last month, this is my second favorite game. Absolutely amazing game. I can't rate it high enough, as I said already. But yeah, that's it. Go play this game if you haven't already. It is the easiest, apparently, of all the most open of all the Souls games. So go play it. And if you find most of the bosses, if you can't find them, if you can't fight them, you keep losing, run past them, forget about them, and go on and continue playing the game. Enjoy. But yeah, great game. Let me see the other game I played. I played and finished yesterday. I haven't platinumed it. That was Clear Up Stuart. So finally start of the month and finished it, and it's okay. This game got all the awards last year. Okay, the flaws first, because these irritated me. The map, it's crap. It's crap. It's awkward at best, and it's accessible only when you're out on what they call the continent. There's no mini-map, and I got lost so many times. It took me ages to realise that the route, you follow lights, it leads you to where you're going to go to the next section. But I got lost, and then I'm following the map, the lights going the wrong way, and getting back to where I was, and I go, crap, I've got to go back. So the minimap would be really, really, really handy in this. Next one's fast travel. You can only travel within areas. So it's like a big open map, and then you've got little small areas. You can fast travel within your small area, and only from certain flags. And I found that really awkward because you're in a different area. You want to go back to the gestural village, and it's in the middle. And it's just, oh my God, it took so long. It took me ages, and I got disheartened and went back, tried to fast travel back to where I had been originally in the game, and it took fucking ages. That was my first curse in the game, I think, in this video. But yeah, so fast travel was so annoying. So fix those two. And then the last thing that was annoying in this game, the barks, like the little quips that characters have. SKA. The guy doing SKA, I reckon he must have been Parisian, because he's like, je suis not feeling it today. He swims, no? Je pense, un moment, s'il vous plaît. Nage. And all he's like, I have it. Swim. That's all he fucking says, is swim. I mean, and je suis un ball.
I love the swim.
Ball.
Swim.
Oh, no. I was like, no, shut up, SKA. But other than that, this game, okay, I hated SKA so much. You can photo mode. I lined up SKA so it looks like the Eiffel Tower shafting up the ass, because it really disturbed me. That just SKA as a character, when he talked, he was great most of the time, but his barks just, he was driving me crazy. And this guy got paid for that job. I think he's given me confidence in me about my own job, so thank you. But okay, the puzzles. Everything else, this game is brilliant. The graphics, the music, it rocks. There's the main theme tune, Lumiere, I think it's called. It's excellent. It's absolutely magnificent. And then some of the battles, the tempo, the music ramps up, and it's really good. I loved it. At several points in the game, you get a chance to pick records you can play, or pick tunes, because you collect records going, and I love that. I love picking a tune, listen to it, just stop playing the game and just listen to the music going through. It was really good. The story, I had never seen anything like this. So maybe the river of something else it was new to me. It's slightly complicated, and then it gets twisted and gets more complex, just like a JRPG. But it actually makes slightly more sense than most JRPGs I've ever played. There is one moment in the game that left me shocked, upset, and really pissed. I mentioned it to you. I was so annoyed and so upset at that. I can't believe that. But overall, the game it's a great game with some minor quibbles. If you have the chance to play this game, both of you have. It is, it's really good. And I don't like. What's the type of tactic, the battle system they use? The real
turn-based and parry.
Yeah. The turn-based. I don't like turn-based. Typically, I don't like turn-based. We played one last year. It was quite good. This, I do like the parry. It keeps you in the game while you're going on. I mainly dodged until I got the parrying down. So I dodge, keep dodging until you can dodge every attack the person gives you, and then start switching to parry. So it's like a learning system. The combat, when you get to do it, unfortunately, there's like huge variety of stuff, but you start to find ones that work really well. And I don't know if it's sort of breaking the game, like ones where you attack and you also give heal or buff your own team. You start using that. So you've got your one or two characters, so you can do that, and you just lay into them with the other character. So it is quite good. I liked it a lot. I really highly rate this game. So yeah, apart from SKA's barks, the map and the fast travel, this game is sublime. It's brilliant. So yeah, that's my two that I played this month. So Rich, you next?
Yeah, I'm next. Yeah, and just to say, if you're loving that soundtrack, it is available on your music services. There's like an extended kind of, I think it's 16-hour soundtrack available, and it is just fantastic.
Yes.
So May, for me, I've played a few games actually, and I've even finished a couple of things, which is rare. So where shall I start? Backpack Hero. I think I mentioned Backpack Hero on a previous month. I've been playing a bit more of that. It's one of these games that actually is massive, even though it's very simple in premise. So it's a roguelike dungeon crawler, but it's also got quite a lot of town building. So I keep going on little quests. I take my backpack, which is a limited number of slots, and then I end up in turn-based combat with a certain amount of mana. And to do things, I have to click a thing in my backpack that costs X amount of mana to use. And it's got so many weird and wonderful varieties based on all the different items you can find and the synergies between them and that kind of stuff, that it is actually very addictive, and it is deep as well, because when you get back from each run, you're then thrown into your town and you can start building buildings that give you kind of buffs, either buffs on your next quest or just give you resources while you're out questing. So the next time you come back, you've got more things and can build more buildings that give you more benefits. So it's one of these kind of games that's addictive, and it's in a little bit of a loop, and there's a kind of like a overall meta efficiency that you can seek via building your town well. So I've played a bit of that, but I've become acutely aware that it's a game that I'm very unlikely to finish, just because it's so big and complex and there's so much to it, that I put that down thinking, right, I need to actually focus and finish some things. So the first thing I've finished this month is the Murder on Eridos DLC for Outer Worlds. So I was playing through the main campaign, and I'm not the kind of person that actually ever really plays DLC. I'll tend to play base games and then move on. So when I was playing the base game, I was unaware but slightly suspicious that I might have gone down a DLC path. So I was kind of midway through one of my main, or just finished one of the main quests, and then FMV kind of comes up, and it kind of introduced this tangent, and it looked really good. It was basically setting up a murder mystery. So much like my Sheep Detectives, I was thrown into murder mystery world, and I mean the signal was that the quests in my kind of quest log were in a different color. But like I say, because I don't normally do DLC, that I hadn't quite twigged that was a thing. So I was playing all these different coloured quests for hours and hours, and I was doing it on stream. And I was saying, I reckon I've put myself into a DLC here. So I was a little bit torn as to what to do, and I thought, well, look, let's just finish what I've started. I don't want to play 4 hours and then go back to something that's totally different. So I plugged away and solved the murder. I don't know whether there's a right answer and a wrong answer, but I made my choice, and the people who I choose were guilty, had their consequences, and it was very, very good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. So that was good. And then that set me off on a little tangent of finishing things. So I picked back up an absolutely amazing game that I had inexplicably fallen off, which is Inscription, which is like reviews really, really well. Have to be a little bit careful about how I talk about it, because it's one of those games where those who are into it are like, you're not allowed to, you don't speak of Inscription. People just have to find out for themselves. So I'll try and give a vague summary of it. So how do I describe it? You start the game and you're in a mysterious shed, and there's a mysterious character sat across a table from you, and basically you're thrown into a card game for which you do not know the rules, and you've got various cards in front of you like otters and mice and things like that, and they've got health and attack attributes. Sometimes they've got some sort of special ability that is triggered on certain conditions, but you just start battling against this guy, and I think there's a set of scales. So essentially when you're doing well, you're putting weights down on the other end of the scales. And when it hits the table, you win. And if it hits the table at your end, you lose. But there's just so much weirdness, because you after a little while, you realise that the the weights that are getting put on the scales are actually gold teeth. And then you unlock this ability to be able to start pulling your own teeth out if you're not doing very well, so as to be able to apply some weight. So it's all incredibly strange and mysterious and a little bit spooky. Some of the cards start conversing with you and like trying to influence the choices that you make, and you don't know whether they're doing that because they're trying to put you off so that you lose, or because they're doing that because they're trying to help you and they're your friend. And at a certain point in the game, and I am going to go not too deep, but you realise that you can get up from the table. It's not just a card game. There is more. There's more going on in the hut, and I'll probably just leave it at that. But I'd started it about 4 or 5 years ago. I'd got through what I thought was the game, and I think all I'll say is that there's then much more game, some of which I found a bit repetitive. So I'd kind of got stuck in a middle bit, but I picked it back up and got through this middle bit, which I won't talk about. And then it kind of almost circles back around, and then it goes back into this kind of initial vibe for the last, I don't know how many hours, several hours. And it was just an absolutely wild experience. There's some stuff that I want to talk about, but I'm just not going to. But the game goes to places and starts doing things that just seems so wrong and so mind-blowing that a game can do those things that I can only recommend it. That's all I'm going to say. So Inscription, hard recommend. The reason I got back into it was because I did what I always do, which is just search for something new to start. So I'd downloaded and installed Pony Island, which is made by the same devs. So it's Daniel Mullins Games, the same devs who made Inscription. And I was literally about to start Pony Island, and I was like, what am I doing? This year is about, you doing the backlog, and they're both backlog games, but Inscription was a part finished game that I loved. So if I could not finish that before I played Pony Island, then what is wrong with me? So now, having rolled credits on Inscription, I have booted up Pony Island, which is very much it's similar but different. And I'll probably talk about it more next month because I'm about halfway through. But I kind of need to share because it is another sensational journey in gaming. So to give you a flavour of it, you load it up, you get to the start screen, you've got your usual menu, settings, start new game, all of that kind of stuff. You can't start the new game. Well, the game will not let you start the new game. There is a puzzle required to get you to even start the game. So I was doing this on the stream, and it was one of these where you're like, oh no, this is just going to be public humiliation as I sit on a start menu, unable to fire the game into action. But I persisted. I got the game started. And the general premise is that somebody has made a game called Pony Island, and it's just a pony hopping over obstacles and then develops from there. But something weird has gone on. Somebody's trapped in the game. I might be trapped in the game. We need to break the game. So there's this combination between really old school platformy shooter type game and almost like a coding element where you've got to dive into little sub things and break things and change things. There's messaging services in there, so you start getting messages from the person stuck in the game and the maker of the game, and it is truly bizarre, but exactly the kind of game I love, where you're just like, what? It's not even a game, it's just like an experience, like what is even happening here? So more on Pony Island next month. What else did I play? I made the terrible mistake, and this will come up in the questions, I think, later, of loading up Balatro again. And I knew the moment, it's essentially like an addict going back to the thing that you're trying to not be addicted to. I loaded it. I knew it was a wrong thing to do. I was like, this is terrible. But I've been playing Balatro, so there's this card deck manipulation game, absolutely brilliant. I played it for a bit. It's another one of these games that's absolutely huge. There's millions of difficulties and variants. I don't think I'll ever roll credits on it. I'm quite a good way through. I played it for a bit. I managed to beat the game on the like the 6th level of difficulty out of 8 or 9. This unlocks a new deck and a whole new like week of addiction and pain. So having unlocked the new deck, I was like, okay, enough, focus. So I moved on to a thing called the Lion Song. Now this, for you, Stuart, this will be a game that you don't like because you're clicking a screen and following a story, and you'll be like, "Where's the game?" But I loved it.
Okay.
So I haven't finished it. I'm halfway through. There's 4 chapters. I've done the first 2, and in my notes I've written, I think I've struck gold. So it's a very pixely based narrative, point and click. Very claustrophobic and intense, quite a kind of bewitching plot. So chapter 1, you follow one character who is a musician. She's gone to a log cabin, not the Inscription log cabin, for inspiration for a concert that she's been kind of pushed into doing. She takes a phone call from somebody, and it's because it's based at around the time that phones were invented, so it's just some total random has rung her number. She strikes up a relationship with this guy, and all you're trying to do is just explore this very claustrophobic cabin, find some things, get inspiration. You're just trying to gather as much inspiration as you can to produce this music track. It sounds a bit weak and lame, but it's just so nicely done, where there's not a lot happening, but then the music comes through. The game music's nice. The art, even though it's very simple, is very beautiful. So I enjoyed that, and you just get this little window into this lady, I think it's Wilma, into her life. And then I go to chapter 2, different setting, different town, somewhere in Europe. It's a painter. The painter sees layers of character, and like they converse with the person they're going to paint, and they learn a bit about them, and then they see their kind of true character and start painting that. And then again, you're just clicking around. There's no actual challenge, but you're just making little conversation choices to kind of unlock the character of the people that you're painting. And so I've done the second chapter and liked it. There's 2 more to go, and I am wondering whether somehow the 4 characters, I'm assuming chapters 3 and 4 are different characters again, and whether somehow they knit together, and that'll be the difference between whether I say that was a really nice game or, oh, that game was brilliant what it did. We'll see, but very, very enjoyable and nice and short, perfect for me. Play like an hour and a half, 2 hours for each chapter, and then it will be done. What else to say? There's not a lot else to say. I've only played Ark Raiders once this month. I've just been enjoying playing different stuff, and I think just because my weekends have been busy, that's my usual slot. I've played quite a lot of Rocket League. There's nothing new to say. I'm still stuck in Diamond. I will get champ before the year is out. I will get that rank, but I will report more when I do it. And I've picked up another backlog game, which I've only just started and might talk about. It's called Ogu and the Secret Forest. So it was an epic freebie. At some point, you might have it in your backlogs. It's a very cute Zelda-like, and I think it's going to depend on your mood. So I've only done a tiny bit of combat, and the combat is bad. But the puzzles are nice, and the art is nice, and the music is nice. It feels like it is made for maybe a younger audience, but just as I just fancy doing something and not really taxing my brain too much, it served quite nicely. And quite a few of these I've been playing on the handheld. So I've got a Legion Go, which I kind of fired into action this month, and actually it's made a huge difference. Because just the way life is at the moment, I'm not finding as much time to get myself sat down in front of this PC and do like proper gaming. But what I have been able to do is install a whole bunch of stuff and just try a few hours here and there of various things in the backlog. So it's been really nice. And then, so should we build up to this crescendo then? Stuart, you've played a lot of games.
Yeah, I've managed to
tell
get
us about these.
11 games this month. Some of them are, perennial games like Baldur's Gate 3, where I've had to backtrack quite a bit with that one because I just was dying and reloading. So I've gone back to prior to encountering that boss, and the game's starting to feel like work. So I've shelved that, and I'll keep dipping into it now and again, but it's not a focus. Clair Obscur, I know I've spoken about Clair Obscur on every episode since January, so I'm amazed that Brian managed to start it and finish it in 1 month, because I was beating my head against that wall that is the Serene boss fight. And after last episode, I went back and I reworked all the team skills to align with their strengths, and something just clicked, and I managed to power past Serene. And then from that point onwards, everything fell into place. And I managed to work out how to do the parry block mechanism. I played it right through to the end. What a fantastic ending that game has. Everything Brian said, I agree with 1,000%. You know, the way in which it throws in these little twists in the story every so often, and just when you think it's finished, it's not finished, and it carries on going with something else, I thought was fantastic. So that's one that goes on the game completed. Rolled credits. I haven't 100%ed it. I don't even think I got to the point where Eskia could dive under the water. I just finished the boss battles, and that was just the main boss battles, and then rolled credits and put it to one side. Wreckfest, again, one of the perennials. Weekly racing or monthly racing fun with mates. No, weekly. It is weekly. We only played it once this month, which is why I thought it was monthly. And I'll talk about why it was monthly or once a month very soon. But again, always fun. Disco Elysium was game number 4 this month, and it's been on my list for years. You know, I mean, it came out in 2019. Everybody raves about it. I picked it up and tried it every so often, but it just didn't gel with me. I wasn't in the right mindset to play it. And when I restarted the game this time, I realized that I'd got as far as you go into a building and there's a freezer in a basement. And so I played all the way through to the point where I got to that. So that was, you know, quite a way through the game. This game, lots of dialogue. I mean, it's all about dialogue. You know, how do you approach every single interaction with all these characters to complete the story? And I'm not usually a fan of games with lots of dialogue options, but by the end of this game, I was really enjoying it. Finished it, rolled credits. Again, not 100%ed, but enjoyed it. And I may go back and revisit that again and play through with a bunch of different dialogue options just to see how they turn out. I fired up Total Annihilation Commander Pack. That was a mistake. I played for an hour and realized that game is not aged well. It deserves to stay in the past. It does similar things to what Command and Conquer did, but it's got this additional thing where you have a height advantage, but the graphics themselves have not been updated. It was extremely janky to play, so I lost interest very quickly in that and moved on to other things. And the thing I moved on to was a game called, well, let me spell it first and then I'll tell you how it's pronounced, because it's spelled ANNWN. Now, not being a Welsh speaker, I had no idea how to pronounce that. It turns out it's pronounced Anoon. And the blurb on Steam, it came out in 2019, published by a small independent studio called Quantum Soup Studios. Steam says, Anoon is an abstract stealth strategy game of tension and relief across a series of mysterious procedural islands. I thought it was definitely a spiritual successor to The Sentinel and The Sentinel Returns. And regular listeners will quickly figure out that I have a type, and this game is it. The tutorial was, let's say it's very understated. It's an animated picture of your character absorbing a tree and then building another character and jumping to it. And that's it. It's just this animated picture that takes about 10 seconds to show you. And that's all there is that it tells you about the game. So you start off, you're playing through each of these islands. You've got to get to the top of the island by absorbing trees around you and then building up a new version of yourself to hyperspace into or to transfer into. there was no mention of anything on the menu as to what each of the menu options did. And I probably played through about 95% of the game before realizing that there was an upgrade tree. I got as far as the last 3 levels and I just couldn't do them. And then once I realized about the upgrade tree being there, I managed to increase my speed that I could absorb things and the speed with which I could build things, and increase the amount of energy I could absorb at any one time. And then it took me about 10 minutes to finish the rest of the campaign. I decided then to go back and play through and try and 100% it in Steam, get all the achievements. And I realized that there was a bit of a bug in the game where the final achievement wouldn't trigger. So I did a bit of online sleuthing and found the developer's Quantum Soup Studios webpage. And on his webpage, he had a link to his Discord. And I connected to the Discord and reached out to him and said, hey, has anyone else reported this bug? And he said, no, they haven't. He will look into it right now. And I mean, the game's 6 years old now. He's been very responsive, very reactive to fixing it up, and impressed the hell out of me with the amount of support he's giving for a game that is 6 years old. It's also a game that doesn't appear to have got a lot of love when it was released. You know, if you go and check SteamDB will tell you that since launch, there's been a maximum of 3 players playing this at any one time. And for the last month, it's been just me.
Just you, yes.
And I think that's, I mean, for how good this game is, and granted, you do need to be a fan of the Sentinel and the Sentinel Returns, but for how good this game is, I think it's criminal how unloved it was at launch. But it did make me wonder, and this is a question that goes out to the community, which is different from our show questions that we asked for, but what's the most unloved or ignored game that you've played and enjoyed the hell out of that nobody else seems to? And I'd be really interested to know that. So that was Anoon. Let's get to game number 7. And before I get to game number 7, I have to hit this little button here. Yep, it's klaxon time.
Uh-oh.
So my Wreckfest buddies delivered Battlefield 6 to me. It just arrived in the mailbox one day, and it was a gift from my Thursday night gaming group. So my thanks go to the team, Jason, Matt, and those are a different Jason and Matt, the ones I mentioned last month, who were the non-gamers. But Jason, Matt, Daniel, Simon, Anthony, Paul, Joe, we now get together and play Battlefield 6 every Thursday night. And I am terrible at it. For every single game we do, I probably manage to survive on average about 3 seconds between getting shot in the head and then having to be revived by all the rest of them. But I'm looking forward to these regular sessions of getting shot in the head by every one of them and then getting revived every 3 seconds by the rest of the team. So my thanks, guys.
That's good. That's good. You make them carry you.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely. My reflexes are about 4 seconds slower than what they need to be to play against other human beings. When we're playing against bots, I seem to be okay. But against other humans, I have no chance. Game number 8, I played a game called Dashboard. Board being B-O-R-E-D. It's a fairly standard turn-based RPG. You explore a 2-dimensional overworld as this character called Nicholas, who's woken up in a world he knows nothing about. And all you want to do is get home, and you're trying to complete all these little mini missions, which are usually a sort of go here, pick this up, take it over there, deliver it to whoever. It's not going to win any awards. It was a fairly stress-free palate cleanser after Clear Obscure, but I gave up playing it after about 3 hours. It was just too generic and too beige. And then I thought, Returnal. Let's go back to Returnal. I've played 80 hours of this game. and I've died nearly 90 times, and I've still not even defeated the first boss. So I'm putting this one back on the shelf, and I may go back to it later. I may never go back to it. I don't know. It just punishes me too hard every time I try and have a go at it. Game 10 is a game that I think it's just a demo that's on my Steam list called XO1 Prologue. It's weird. You're this little hovering disc, and you can affect gravity on your planet that allows you to either go faster down
I played
hills
this.
it was fun. There's like a beam of light in the heavens that you just have to head towards, and every time you get there, it unlocks an upgrade and moves the story on. But this was only the first level, so I may end up buying it in the future, sort of post December. But it was a nice little look at what this game could be. Again, I don't know where that came from in my Steam library. It must have been something that was downloaded 1 month either on one of the freebies, or maybe something from Amazon Prime Gaming. And then the last game I started this month was Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. And when I started this up, I really didn't like it. I thought it was a very clunky map system. It didn't have any of the Tomb Raider Uncharted feel that I was expecting. Most of the game is first person, with it switching to third person where you're doing climbing sessions. The front-on combat is very janky. You're effectively just button mashing, trying to avoid being knocked out. And it definitely favors stealth over full frontal attacks. But I'm now 6 hours into the game, and I'm getting used to it. And I've worked out how it wants me to play the game. And so I'm now, I think earlier I said I'm now rileling it. I've gone through and I'm doing every side quest available and finding every little blip on the map and trying to complete it before I move on to the next phase. So that's probably what I'll be playing for the next couple of days. I anticipate it taking me until at least the point where we go on holiday. But we'll see. It might be something that I end up finishing in the next 2 or 3 days. Who knows? But that was it. That was my 11 games I played this month, and it brings my completed games for the year to about 18. So I'm certainly on track, well ahead of track for what I wanted to get out of this Year of Shame challenge. Because I don't think many of these 18 games would have been looked at if I wasn't doing this.
Incredible.
We're finished 5 months. You finished 18 games.
Yeah.
You're an animal for this. That's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of them aren't just kind of, I've been cheating a bit and like just pick up a really short game so that I can say I finished a thing. Whereas it doesn't matter to you if it's difficult, if it takes ages, you get your head down and you get on with it, don't you? So,
yeah.
Brilliant.
I haven't included XO1 Prologue in that because it was just a demo. But 18 of the... Yeah, that's me.
Incredible stuff. And a klaxon as well. 18 games and a klaxon. Brilliant content. So before we move on to news, it's probably worth a little look at the games that are coming out next month and see if anything stands out to you. So whilst you're looking at the list and shouting out anything that does appeal to you, I can just mention some of the stuff that has released during May that makes me feel very sad. So Directive 8020 came out. That would have been a game that I'd definitely be buying and playing. Battlestar Galactica: Scattered Hopes. That's probably one of my favourite TV series of all time, is the Battlestar Galactica one. So anything in that world, I'd have been all over. You were speaking of Disco Elysium, so Zero Parades for Dead Spies, made by I think we talked about it last time, the arm of the developers that you're not supposed to like, but the main one that kind of remains. That would have been a one to play. Lego Batman: Legacy of the Dark Knight. I've watched a couple of people streaming that, and it does look, I mean, it's just like any of the other Lego games, but the level of polish they've got on the graphics on that now is really exceptional. 007 First Light. I've seen some people having, so you're talking about the Indiana Jones combat. the first light combat looks superb. I've watched somebody streaming it the other day, and they were having a fight in a bar, and there's multiple enemies, and they were throwing each other around, crashing into wine bottles, all sorts. So that looks really good. And of course, Forza Horizon 6 has come out, which is making me feel incredibly envious, because I think the initial flurry of play on that game, because of all the social things it does, where if you're knocking over XP boards or you're completing races, it's constantly flashing up who in your friends list has got just a few more than you. So there's a bunch of people who will be in that loop at the moment of knowing they need to switch off, knowing they need to go and do the dishes, but just 3 more boards and I get past my friend whoever. So all of that's been going on. Is there anything you're regretting not being able to play right now or coming up? Stuart, how about you? Anything?
Yeah, so my son is not doing Year of Shame. So he can buy whatever the hell he wants. And he has been buying 007, Lego Batman, all the games that are coming out. And he's playing them all. And he's just there in the next room. And so anytime I go through that room, I can see him having a whale of a time playing these things. That Lego Batman game, they've introduced, the fighting style of it is the same as the fighting style in Arkham Batman games. It's got that same flow to it. It's phenomenal. I mean, it doesn't look anything like those original Lego games that came out. You know, the first Lego Batman game compared to this one is chalk and cheese. It is a really, really well-built game. So yeah, he's loving the hell out of all of those things, and I just have to sit and watch him play them. The only other game that came out is coming out in the coming month that I was watching is one called Clax, CALX, and it looks a little bit like Journey. It's got that same sort of flowy, cel-shaded look about it. It's lots of double jumps and dashes and grappling and solving puzzles and things like that. It's probably one that I would put on my buy in January list. But it's about the only one that's coming out in the coming month that I would consider doing. As much as I would love to play Bond from last month, I probably won't by the time all the interest has calmed down and everybody's moved on from it. But that's about. And
you wouldn't have been tempted by Star Fox? That's coming out this month, isn't it?
Myself and Nintendo have got a weird relationship where I want to like Nintendo devices and I buy Nintendo devices and then I don't play any of the games on those devices because they just don't appeal to me. Star Fox obviously is it started from Star Glider and Star Glider 2 on the 8-bit machines, and I loved the hell out of those games. And Star Fox then morphed into what it is from that original source. But it's not something that interests me at all.
Fair. It probably doesn't interest me, but I'd have bought it. It's the same Nintendo thing. It just does weird things to us, doesn't it? It makes us buy hardware and software that we've got no interest in. And credit to them for managing that. How about you, Brian? Is there anything that is making you regret being midway through your second year of this shame?
Games from last month. I think the games you mentioned, definitely 007, the Bond game, I would love to have tried. And I would love to have tried Mixtape. Mixtape last month as well. Mixtape seems to be splitting the world at the moment. But some people hate it, some people don't, because I give it a 10. But I would love to be playing more of that. I would love to try it and see what as for next month, there isn't really much next month, thankfully, that I want to play. Yeah, I'm pretty okay for next month, thankfully.
Yeah. June looks like a month that, we won't regret too much.
It looks quiet next month. There's not that many. And I don't recognize any of the games. I had a quick look through there before my PC started to freeze. But yeah, it's next month doesn't seem to be that bad, thankfully. And a month off, basically. But yeah, so concentrate on more games. But it's last month. I really would love to have played Bond. From what I've heard, it's really good. People were disappointed. They thought it was going to be a bit like Uncharted crossed with Hitman, but it seems to be, once you get over the difference, it seems to be quite good. I haven't been brave enough to watch any videos like you. I couldn't do that. That it really pissed me off. I'm trying not to crumble. But those two games that I really want to play. There's another one called, is that last month or maybe the month before, Wax Heads? The indie game. Excuse me. You're in a shop and you're recommending records to people who come in. I kind of guess it's a bit like Coffee Talk, but just with records. It's supposed to be quite good. The music in it is all original for the thing. But I think you only get to hear small clips of the songs, but I would like to have played that. They were the games I want to have played recently anyway.
Yeah, nice. Thank you, Brian. So yeah, actually a little bit like you. So you're saying you kind of avoid watching stuff, so just to avoid the temptation. And that is me when it comes to the news. So I've been handling 2026 completely like an ostrich. So I'm super grateful to Stuart who's been pulling together these news articles. I am handling it by I am not exposing myself to gaming news at all. I've taken it to the extreme of I don't watch the showcases, states of play, all things that I usually absolutely love doing. But I just can't bring myself to engage with this stuff, partly so I can focus on playing the games, but partly as a kind of self-help mechanism to just stop me, hearing about a shadow drop of something and then just folding hopelessly. So it's a bit weird me being the host for this episode when we get to the news, because I'm kind of like, I don't really know what's going on. So I mean, I have highlighted a couple of things from the list, but maybe, Stuart, since you've spent so much time pulling it together, why don't you call out things that appeal to you or you think our listeners should hear about?
What appeals to me from the news that I grabbed? Let's see. I'm about to show you the schoolboy level that my humor normally focuses on, because the first story that leapt out at me from the news pages on the 29th of April was, and that was shortly after we recorded the last episode. There's an EV flying taxi has flown from JFK to Manhattan for the first time. And what makes the story interesting is that the company that runs these is a company called JOBY. No, I'm not getting into a flying jobby. I'm sorry.
That's a wee jobby.
A wee flying jobby.
Amazing.
Yeah. Obviously, we had the whole release of the Steam controllers and the fact that they don't seem to support PC Game Pass. That was the big story at the end of the last month. And then if we jump forward a couple, we've now got the PS5 being hacked, so it's able to boot Linux. Granted, it's on older firmwares. I think it might be running those boot keys that were published way back in January and February that we mentioned. But is it useful? Probably not. But it's certainly got some headline space on the various websites. From something that you might be interested in, Richard, is that apparently larger team sizes are coming to Arc Raiders soon. They're talking about increasing those.
Interesting. So I wonder whether that's going to go alongside some content that requires you to work together in bigger groups. That's interesting.
Possibly, yeah. What about you, Brian? Anything that took your interest?
The Arc Raiders thing, speaking about, they've said that they're switching cycles. They're going to do 2 big updates a year. I think it's Arc Raiders that is. Be 2 big content updates and then smaller fixes in between. Mm-hmm. So I don't know when the next big fix is going to be. But, yeah. News-wise, there is the sad news Destiny. Well, sad news. Destiny 2 is going to have one more update, I think, and that's it. And they're going to stop working on it, other than fixes. I'd love to get into Destiny 2, but the game seems to resist or make it as difficult as possible to get into it. I don't know if they're going to go and do Destiny 3, but I think they're looking after what's the Marathon, isn't it?
Yeah,
the other
Marathon,
game they've got. They're pushing harder on that one, which is good. I think you posted a news article today or yesterday. It was about going free to play for a month or something.
For a week, yeah, 1 week free to play.
It's supposed to be a really good game. It's a niche game and it's got really big supporters. Apparently, I don't know what the gaming business term is, but people's interest in the game, those who are into the game, are really spending a lot of time in the game. So they just need to get more people into it. It might become something bigger for them. I'd like to see it succeed because I'm worried about Bungie and Sony. Yep. Well, it was
Bungie need to stay around, don't they?
Yeah, it was what they call an AQ hire, wasn't it? Rather than they acquired the company to hire the staff, and Sony recently wrote down the value of Bungie on their books. They wrote it down to I don't know how much they spent, for about $250,000 last year and $500,000 this year. So already they've knocked down the value of the company by three quarters. It can't be $1 million. I
think it was 870 million or something that they wrote it down by. It was massive.
So it's basically their value of what they would get. Yeah, what they would get if they sold the company. Just their books and stuff, but it doesn't mean that if they sold the company, they're not expecting to make the money back that they had, which, given the success of Marathon, I suppose, is not unexpected. But it's a shame, and I don't want to see more layoffs. But they have mentioned there's going to be layoffs at the end of Destiny 2. I really don't want to see it. This tech industry is crazy at the moment. You posted a graphic about the number of jobs being let go. It's a scary industry.
Yeah. Yep.
All we need is now computers teaching people English, and I don't know what I'm going to do. But the other thing is Valve increasing the price of the Steam Deck 46%. Was it? Like, oh my god!
Yeah, it's leapt up.
RAM. Yeah. It's just, you have a Steam Deck and you have the Legion, and it's just like, I've liked to have got a Steam Deck just purely from the fact that you can tinker around with it a lot and hack it, as well as the gaming aspect. But that price is crazy, the jump. And if they're blaming RAM for this, or RAM and the memory, the SSDs, yeah, but the disk drives, it's going to be crazy. I don't know. They put what's the other one though coming out? It's supposed to come out this year. We're supposed to already be out the books. I don't know. The price of that's going to be huge, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think it doesn't matter what hardware comes out next. It's going to be a premium price. Whether it's the PlayStations or whether it's the next the Steam box, it's going to be beyond the price of just a casual gamer. I think you're going to need to be very, very invested in it to spend that amount of money. Yeah,
I can't see. I know Xbox talked about their next one going to be basically a PC. It doesn't matter. Give you a PC. The price is going to be huge. I don't know how any of these are going to succeed until we see this AI thing broken. But I don't know. This bubble needs to go. So we need
You've just reminded me, Brian. There was at the beginning of the year, there was a story that came out that was supposed to introduce Xbox functionality on Windows 11. And I think it was due to come out in March or April. Have you seen any of that? I certainly don't have it on my desktop.
I don't have Windows 11. I'm still on Windows 10, so I won't get any updates of that.
Right.
Yeah, so I've tried it. I tried it on the Legion Go because that runs Windows. And so I gave it a try, thinking maybe there's going to be a little bit of computational efficiency and also a bit of look and feel goodness on it. And presentationally, it's really nice. So I activated it, and so rather than booting to your normal Windows home, you're into that kind of like game view where everything's bigger icons, a bit like the kind of Steam equivalent, where you just get a nice clean interface.
Yeah.
But what I'd find, so the Legion Go that I use is it's a little bit of a faff with, if I try and like connect Bluetooth headphones, that kind of thing, you've got to enter, get into the settings nice and easily. And the Legion Go in particular has this weird habit of changing the output. So it's got like Realtek audio and then Realtek speakers and then whatever else you've got connected, and it just sort of seems to just randomly choose which one it's going to be using anytime you boot it up.
Okay.
And I couldn't access those settings from the game mode version, because it's like stripped it down enough to allow you not to do stuff like that. So it would look great, and I'd fire up a game and I wouldn't be able to hear it, and then I'd have to go back to desktop mode to change the settings, and then I'd think if I flip back again, I'd either have to reboot the whole thing or whatever. It just ended up being, that was nice to look at, I can't use this.
Right.
And I haven't tried out the desktop because my desktop is precious and I can't tinker with it, otherwise I might break everything.
Yep.
Yeah. I think Paul last year came up with an idea that Microsoft should release a PC with Xbox abilities so they could sell it to students. So they have Word, Excel, whatever, all that they need. The kids can say, look, I need it for study. And then with a flick, it would switch to like an Xbox, and they could play their games on as well. So they could get the whole student cohort. So everybody going through uni or whatever for 4 or 5 years, they'd be able to use that. And it would be quite a neat market. You could market into the house that you'd have a PC as well as like a 2-in-1, just in the one box. I think it's a good idea. And Microsoft, if you are listening, we patented that idea last year. So you owe us money if you do this. But yeah, that was Paul's idea last year. Quite cool.
Brilliant. It's a good idea. It sounds like it'd be very popular with students, at least. Maybe not so much the teachers. Shall we move on to the questions? So, as far as I can see, are there more than just the 3?
No, there's 3 stories that I do want to touch on from the news before we move on.
Oh, okay. There's more.
Well, there's always more. So I don't know if you guys ever played Head Over Heels in the 1980s.
I did.
Programmer just released a follow-up. 40 years later, he's released a game called Return to Blacktooth, and he's released it so that it can be played on an Amiga or an Atari ST. That's dedication. That is full-on dedication to spend 40 years building a game. So people with, those that might have a very small number of these devices still around can actually load the game up and play them. And it looks really good. So if you liked Head Over Heels, go and check that out. The second one that I wanted to talk about, and I'm surprised that none of you guys picked this up, is the new expansion coming for The Witcher.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. So it's going to come in 2027, so we're all safe. We don't have to miss out on this one, unless we do another year. And they've been very careful to say it's not DLC, it's an expansion. And it's also being listed as a prologue to The Witcher 4, but not quite a prologue, whatever the hell that means. So watch this space.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I was hoping it was going to bridge 3 and 4 together. And when I read the word, this is how little I'm paying attention to things. When I saw prologue, I was like, I was thinking it's prologue for 3. But if it's prologue to 4, of course, then that works perfectly. Yeah, very good.
And then the last story that I picked up this month was the fact that No Man's Sky, the gift that keeps on giving, has just released another massive update. If you look at this game now compared to what was originally released, there's no comparison. I mean, they have invested so much love and effort in fixing this game. And I'm fairly sure they did this, like CD Projekt Red would have done the same when Witcher 3 came out. I seem to remember that not being that successful a release, but they invested a lot of love in bringing it back on track to the point where it's now considered, the epitome of what gaming should be targeting. And I think No Man's Sky has done exactly the same with this game. It's the game it was supposed to be when it was released. And I'm so happy that they've invested that time and effort in recovering their name and actually producing a game that the gamers wanted to have. And that was all that I had for this month.
I wonder how
Fantastic.
big that game is now. If they have added so much to it, the game file size itself must be quite huge. But I would love to pick it up at some point.
I'm not sure. I can check it on my PS5 when I fire it up again. I don't think it's that big a game.
Cool.
I mean, the downloads seem to be very, very quick coming down. Not like that update for Indiana Jones that was 6 times the size of the original install disc.
Yeah. Well, a lot of it's procedural, isn't it, rather than kind of handmade. So
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Good. Right. Shall we move on to the questions? We have got 3 of them. At last I looked, anyway.
Yep. It's still
the first question. Yeah. So first one's from Paul Wilson, who was a host on season 13. And the question is, which year and at what age was your first internet access? And how did you connect and what speed was it? Was it perhaps a dial-up, pay-as-you-go, free serve or AOL account that you got going? Did you ever run up a crazy bill? And were you hooked from the word go? And then a little follow-up, was broadband the dream? Brian?
First internet access was when I was 18. So we're talking 88. I was in uni. We had internet in the university. You could email other people and you could just email outside to somebody else in another university. It was very basic. We had no browsers, nothing like that. After that, I did an internet course when I was in work. It would have been 96. 95, I did an internet course. We were taught how to use, what was it, Yahoo and Greaves and Jeeves, whatever, that type of thing to do searches.
Ask Jeeves, yeah.
Yeah, Ask Jeeves. And then when I went to uni in Brighton, which would have been 97, we were again taught how to use the internet in university. They gave us classes on how to search and how to try to get quality replies. Even then, they were doing that. I did first at home was when I was in university. I bought a PC and got internet in, and it was dial-up. It was the whole annoying thing. Don't pick up the phone. People can't ring the house because the phone line's already in use. So that would be at the same time. And my own, when I was in my own place, PC home, that was broadband, and that was amazing. I can't even remember what speed it was. It was like 20 or 30 gig, not even that. I don't know what it was, but it was crap compared to today's standards. But yeah, broadband definitely the dream. I did have an AOL account. I eventually moved to an AOL account at home. But yeah, God, they were good days. Watching pictures download line by line, that was just
exactly
just crazy. But yeah, okay, Stuart, you're about the same age as me, so it must be around the same.
Yeah, I bought my first modem I bought in 1991, and that would have been back in South Africa. And the internet, I don't think existed in South Africa at that point. Nobody'd heard of it. So I was using that just to connect to bulletin boards via dial-up. I then moved back to the UK in 1997, and we did work there for 2 years. And while I was over there, I'd opened up my own company as an independent contractor, and so I needed an email address for work, and I had to organise dial-up internet access just so that we could have that. And then when we moved to Australia in 1999, they only had dial-up. There was nothing faster than that. But in 2000, they started to roll out ADSL. And so we got that, and that was like, wow, we're living in the future. And then in 2013 or 2014, this area that I live in here was one of the first ones in Australia that got connected to what they call the National Broadband Network. And if you compare it to some of what's available in places like Japan and the US, our maximum speeds are laughable. But certainly compared to what they used to be, we're now flying. So I think we've got like a 250 megabits per second plan that's unlimited. And every month it takes an absolute pounding. You know, myself and my wife work from home. My son's at university doing it remotely. So he does everything from home. And he'll get up, do his uni, and he'll be downloading something streaming content-wise on his phone and on his desktop. And he'll be playing with his buddies on one monitor, streaming on the other, and Discord on the third. So that poor little network cable that connects us to the NBA and just glows hot all the time. Because it's an unlimited plan, we don't get any crazy bills. But it's definitely become something that we couldn't live without. You know, it's not so much a dream as a necessity. And it stops me from having to jump in my car at 2:00 in the morning and drive halfway across Johannesburg. Anytime a customer's systems fell off the rails, I can't imagine doing that sort of stuff anymore. You are taking your life in your hands, driving through the streets of Joburg any time of day, but 2 a.m. was particularly worse. So I'm quite glad that nobody has to go through that anymore now that they have remote connections in it. And it allows me to live here and, you know, work on client sites around the world. So it saves me from spending my life on planes. So yeah. What about you, Rich?
Yeah, nice. Well, I mean, there's no non-smutty answer to this question, I don't think. So my mum worked in tech. We had a dial-up. I can't say the speed. It was like three lines of naked flesh per minute. So would be the speed that you'd judge it at, I think. I just remember spending my kind of late teens just wishing that images kind of rendered from the middle outwards rather than from the top downwards. Broadband, very much the dream. I had the fortune of one of the early jobs that I had. I worked. It was working in technology, and it was like education as well. So I worked in a department that would test educational games, basically. So we had a whole room full of kit. So we're doing compatibility testing across all the different devices, and part of it was we needed a really good internet connection as well to test any kind of like online capabilities. And what that meant was that whilst obviously doing our job very diligently, that department was also able to download through LimeWire every single music track that existed in the world. So broadband was really, like, the early days of broadband were brilliant because we just had these like completely enviable music collections given to us. So yeah, so that's good. Good question, Paul. The next one is from Blair Ferguson, and as ever with Blair's questions, it starts with a quote that makes you think. Given that God is infinite and that the universe is also infinite, would you like a toasted tea cake? What was the first game you played on a home computer or console? Was it this that inspired your gaming obsession, or was that just meh? And if so, what was it that got you hooked? So a few questions in there. How about you, Stuart?
Infinite tea cake. Oh, yes, please. The first game I would have played would have been Scion Flight Simulator. And it was because it was the only game that was included on the Horizons tape that came with the ZX Spectrum. So it was the first thing that everybody loaded up because that was the intro to how to use your computer. And then followed by that, followed up pretty shortly afterwards by Horace Goes Skiing. It was definitely the start of an obsession, and it got me hooked immediately. That was it. There was no coming back from that. Once I'd spent the 15 minutes sitting listening to the tape screeching away to itself and seeing what came up on the screen, I was instantly hooked.
Nice. How about you, Brian?
Tea cake, yes. Always good. What game on the home computer or console? There was a console at the time. It was one of these with 3 games on it. You had tennis, you had football, and you had a solo game. You just play by yourself, hit the like little block across the bottom of the screen. You had a controller that you just twisted left and right, and that was what I don't know what age I was, but my dad brought that home, I came home from work one day, I had this connected to the TV, and I was just shocked you could move things on the TV. It was all black and white as well. But after that, we got an Amstrad, and the first game I played on that was with Manic Miner. I loved it. I still haven't finished it. I keep going back and trying to play it, but I haven't got the tolerance to finish it anymore. I introduced my nephew to it, and he quickly got pissed off of the game. So I don't think it's suitable for people these days. It isn't the game that got me caught up in computers or in gaming. That was Resident Evil on the PlayStation. I was over at my friend's house. I'd sort of given up on gaming, moved off. I hadn't been gaming for maybe 4 or 5 years, but at the time, went to his house. He booted up Resident Evil, got me to play, and it's the famous scene, the dog through the window, that scared me so much, and I never thought a game could scare you or shock you. So that was it. I had to buy a PlayStation, buy the game, and that was it. From then on, I've just been a constant gamer. So yeah, that's my background on gaming. How about you, Rich?
Yeah, so I think my first gaming experience might have been literally the same stuff as you, Brian. So I remember I had a kind of friend of the family. We'd go round to their house, and they had, I mean, I've called it Pong in my notes, but there was basically a tennis variant, a football variant, and from the bottom up the screen where you're knocking out blocks with the ball, and just fantastic. It sort of blew my mind. It's like, how is this a thing, and why do I not have one? Yeah. And from there, I think early games, Atari games, there was a Spider-Man game where you'd literally just be climbing up a building. There's no swinging between buildings, just up and up and up and up. And of course, big shout out to Daley Thompson's Decathlon, which is surely one of the greatest games of all time. And I just think, but like people of our age, we are lucky to have lived through the advance from just knocking a square ball across a screen to, you talk about Clair Obscur and Elden Ring and things like that. These beautiful, like deep, strategic, just incredibly presented games with like bouncing soundtracks and all of that kind of stuff. And I wonder if people are making their introduction to games now with games like Clair Obscur and Elden Ring, if in 30, 40 years' time, like, what are they going to see? Are they going to see the same curve? Maybe they will. But an interesting thought.
Yeah. No, we're very lucky.
Yeah.
Super lucky. So, third and final question. Yeah, I'm sure there will be. It'll be like neural implants or something incredible like that. So, Paul has asked another question. So, Paul Wilson, season 13 host again, has said, right, I have, over the bank holiday, mostly been playing Balatro in the Garden. I totally bounced off the game first time. It was just not for me, but now I am hooked. I have finished the main story and Pragmata. Excellent game. Definitely one to consider for your New Year's list. But my question is, surely you all have at least one game you would like to progress further in, but you've hit a difficulty roadblock in the game, bringing that fun to a grinding halt, yet with lots of things left to explore and complete. So, and here comes the question, should all single-player games by default have an unlimited lives or energy option that can be toggled on and off at will, maybe with the consequence of the loss of achievements if you kind of select the easy bit? Why should the devs care? You have purchased the game. Now, I'm going to go first on this one because I first of all just want to just provide some help to Paul because he's got himself in a pickle with the Balatro thing. It's a problem that he doesn't yet know that he's fully got. So I'm sorry that you've introduced that to your life, and I am here. If you need a chat, I am here. And then for the games thing, I don't know. I've got a lot of respect. So, I mean, I talked about Elden Ring earlier and how I'd got in, fought the thing that I obviously couldn't beat, and I've fallen off the game. So I guess I could take two approaches with that. I could be angry with Elden Ring and wish that they offered me an invincibility buff, or I could just respect the fact that that game has been made. It's a brilliant game by all accounts, and that it's not for me. And I knew when I was buying it that it was a mistake, because I know what I like and I know what I can do, and I can't do that. I bought it because of the hype, and I shouldn't have done. So that's on me. But I guess that said, I do like games where you can alter the difficulty a little bit, because there's more playthrough. But I think there's a limit when you get to games that are deliberately made for hardcore or to be challenging. Then I think it's in the dev's prerogative to keep it hard and not pander to us casuals. What do you think, Brian?
Trying to think. You may have swayed me slightly. I do think games should have. It's not just for us. Elden Ring is a great example. It's a really tough game until you realize you have. If you find it tough, move to someplace else, do something else. They don't make that explicit, which is a shame. That they should pop up a message saying you have died, go someplace else, not just you have died, and just do it again and again, and just get pissed off the game. I know they have something that they've created something, and this is something they want you to experience. But I feel bad for people who say if you have a disability, you whether your hand-eye coordination isn't as good, or just doing. I have age that's we don't respond to stuff as quickly as we used to. I do think it should be nice to have it. They could have an option saying this is our vision of the game, and then if you want to tone it down, or you want to be able to take more hits or hit harder or whatever it is, that type of thing. I would love to see it in games. I think, as you say, this is the devs' vision of the game, and I struggle to say that they should have to do something more. I would like to see it, but I wouldn't like to have it forced on them. So that's me trying to say I don't know which. I would like to see the option there, but I don't think the devs should be forced to do it. I respect the dev for not doing it, but yeah. Okay, I've just got myself really tongue-tied in that. It's getting hotter and hotter in this room. I'm beginning to melt.
Tell me about it, yeah.
Yeah, oh, just look at the humidity's hit 71%. Oh my God. Anyway, Stuart, you take on.
Yeah, I'm in that situation right now with Baldur's Gate and Returnal. I don't think the devs should reduce the difficulty to the point where it's simply a case of push X to win. I think the achievements still have to mean something. But I don't think that roadblocks should require you to have the reflexes of a ninja. I think the mark of a good game is one that finds a balance between that difficulty and encouraging you to approach problems from a different direction when you do encounter them, like Clear Obscure, and like most of the games that we've been playing this month, where you're not just going to run through it all first try. You're going to have to sit back and look at things and try and figure out how best to approach the challenge that you're being presented with. I obviously need to work out what that direction is with Baldur's Gate and Returnal. I think if any game was completely impossible, it would not be in the devs' interests to continue to publish games that are like that. I think no one wants to commit time to an unachievable target. We play those games for a story, and the story has to be able to be completed. Otherwise, it's like an author selling you a book without the last 3 pages. Nobody's going to enjoy that, and everyone's going to feel cheated. So it has to be achievable. It has to be a challenge, and it's getting that balance right, I think. And whether that's allowing you to reduce the difficulty or to give you an extra 2 bars of health, while still maintaining an element of challenge, I think is what's important for a good game.
Yeah. Nice. It's a good question, that one.
Yeah.
I think what you just said, that I think like Returnal, Elden Ring, and Clear Obscure to a degree, the fact that there's a challenge, overcoming it gives you like a sense of satisfaction that you did it, you made it there. By making the game, I don't want to say too easy, God, I don't want to say you're going to cheapen the game for people, and it won't have the same feeling for them or the impact. But I do think there is a sense of achievement in getting there. If you made a game totally unobtainable for them, why not give them the option to be able to get there and get some to see the game, explore and enjoy some of it? Maybe they won't get the same sense of achievement, but it seems, for some reason, it's something I've gotten into in the past couple of years. It was something I never tried beforehand, but Elden Ring and Returnal have brought me into harder games. And I actually, God of War probably that I just sat there and played over and over again. And it's very weird. But yeah, I think I like getting that sense of achievement of beating the game, finishing, and getting some satisfaction in life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. There's something like that. Yeah. Anyway, very good. Very well
Nice.
said, Stuart. Yeah.
Great. So
Is that the
yeah,
last question?
so that is the last question. So thanks to Paul twice and to Blair for getting in touch. And of course, listener, you can get in touch yourselves, and you can do so via the socials, which will be inserted here.
All right, that's the show. If we got something wrong, which is very possible, I'll admit, email us at yearofshame@gmail.com. If you want to find us on the internet, it may be a mistake, but we support you. You can find us on the Year of Shame Facebook group. Yell at us on Twitter, or more politely on Blue Sky. We may stream on Twitch. Follow just in case. All of this is at Year of Shame. And we're on YouTube at MLGYOS. No video yet. Mostly for the safety of the viewing public, to be honest.
And that kind of brings us towards the end. So we'll just cover off any shout outs.
Just one thing before we finish. Scott Lamb posted a message last time, and I said to him that I'd forgotten to answer him. He posted the fact that he strongly dislikes AI slop. And I meant to reply to him. So I was worried the fact that he said this just underneath our, when I looked at Facebook, it was right underneath our image. But I can reassure Scott that I am not AI generated. My two podcast colleagues confirm that there's no Instagram filter being applied to me, and my visage, they see my visage, warts and all. I am not a cat. I just keep thinking of that video. I'm not the judge. The guy saying to the judge, I'm not a cat. But, however, I have a comment about AI. It is a sham, a veneer over a specialist set of rules and algorithms that are really good at summarizing or cloning pre-existing works, but useless at anything that requires fact-based creation of new ideas. And the new ideas is kind of important. Because I've used Claude. I set up an Excel file recently. I found a thread on Reddit that had all the PS Plus prices over the years. I used Claude to pull the data from there and make it into an Excel file, giving me a list of where the price increases are, where the sales are, so you know that the sales are the same time each year, except for the New Year one. They used to have one at the start of January. They've now moved it to the Lunar New Year. So people try to time buying PS Plus or whatever so that they get it in the sales. But if Sony moved the sales, you're out of time. You're at the wrong time. You can't get the cheap rate. But they always have days of play at the end of May, and they always have Black Friday. So if you can time you're buying PS Plus at that point, you get it cheaper. So I used a Claude to pull down the data and make it into a Excel chart for me. So it was quite handy. And I also mentioned something about what I do at the weekends. I've been using Claude to try and help me make a game from a PowerPoint that I had for special needs kids in school. I'm trying to teach them the letters of the alphabet and what they see around them. So you'll see parking signs with the letter P over here. But parking is an English word. They don't use it. But they know P means they can park their cars. So I'm trying to get them aware of the language around them. So I give them photographs of different areas and stuff in the school where the signs are in English with one letter missing, and they've got to try and figure out the thing. So I'm trying to make it. I have now got a version of it as a HTML file thanks to Claude. I now need to host it on a website so they can access it on their iPads. So Claude AI has been good at doing stuff, but all it's doing is iterating other people's ideas. As I said earlier, it doesn't do any new creation, and I don't know, it is a sham, and I will use it as a sham, knowing it's a tool, but it's no substitute for education. If I knew how to do it, I'd be able to do it even better, but I don't know how to do it. So I might get Stuart to help me out. And Rich, you worked in educational games. Thank you.
Well, yeah.
You're now
There you
all co-opted into my new game for education. But yeah,
I am now your
this stuff up
tester.
Yeah, I'm making it for these special needs kids. So for some reason, I was given the job of teaching these special needs kids. And they don't know the alphabet. They don't know lowercase alphabet, so I'm going to teach them all that. So it's fun. I love working with them, but it's good. Anyway, that was the only thing I wanted to check in before we finished. Because Scott, your comment and I forgot to answer last time. It's been weighing on me, and I knew I had to reply.
Yeah.
But anyway,
You've done well. Well remembered. So yeah, we'll wrap up, and let's roll together any shout outs you've got with your goodbyes. So Stuart, do you want to do any shout outs and bye byes?
Oh, no, just goodbye to me. I thanked all the guys from the Thursday night game group earlier. So just cheers all, and I will let you know as soon as I know myself as to whether I can make it for the next recording.
Okay, thank you. Cool. I'll go next. I'd like to shout out the guys in the Thursday Night Games Club for causing the first klaxon. It's taking the pressure off everybody else. Thank you. That's really cool. I'd like to thank Scott and Paul and Blair for your questions. Thank you. Also, Chinny, I know you listen to this. I don't know. It's very, very soon if you've had your baby. Congratulations. If not, good luck. I hope it goes well. He's just stopped podcasting for veteran gamers, so they're now going to go on rotating hosts. It should be interesting to watch or listen to.
Shout outs wise, I'd like to shout out to my sister-in-law Adele, who today is doing a 13-kilometre charity run for Birmingham Children's Hospital. And I pity her because the route culminates in a climb that is called Cardiac Hill. So she's a little bit apprehensive. So I wish her luck, and she's doing it for a great cause.
In what temperatures?
Well, it's not too bad. It's gone down. It was 33 here a few days ago, but it's low 20s now.
Okay,
so
right.
it's
Oh,
much
nice.
better. But yeah, a tough morning, and here's a couple of us just like sweating away and keeping our windows shut for this recording. But we are at the end of the day sitting in a chair whilst other people are doing more strenuous things. So I want to thank you, Brian and Stuart. I really enjoy your company in these catch-ups. It's really lovely. So thank you. Obviously, listeners, thank you for your questions and the patience to get through the episodes, and also the silent peer pressure that you give to us, making sure that we don't buy games. And we feel that pressure every day of the year. So yeah, take care, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.
Cheers all.
Thank you.